Fast food is an abomination. While I can usually find one or two items that I enjoy on most fast food menus, I am unequivocally opposed to the proliferation of this kind of deeply unhealthy and, to be frank, sickening food all over the world. It's everywhere. It has infested us and continued to spread like a goddamn mind virus. And I do not like that, because every time I eat it, I feel fucking sick. I go to McDonald's, Taco Bell, Hardee's especially, KFC, don't even get me started, and just about every other burger or chicken joint there is, Wendy's, that's another especially, and they all do the exact same thing. And they all end in the exact same result, which is me getting sick. They make me fucking sick. And I don't like it. I don't like how it feels like my stomach is churning when I eat fast food. I don't like how, even if I don't end up feeling sick to my stomach, I end up feeling depressed afterwards. Not because I feel guilty about what I just ate. I could give two fucks about what I just ate. But it makes me feel bad. It makes my body feel like it was just put through the ringer. And if not that, then it makes my brain feel like it was just put through the ringer. I feel tired, I feel lethargic, and I feel sick to my stomach after I eat it. I don't know what it is about this stuff that causes me to feel like I just went through a firefight on top of a marathon. And even then, that's not even an apt comparison, because a marathon, you feel kind of good afterwards. It's like you feel refreshed. Your body feels like it was put through the ringer, but you feel good and refreshed in a sense. No, it feels like they took a freight crate and pressed it against my intestines. And afterwards, after I got all squished, they ripped them out of me and shoved them back in after twisting them around a little bit inside, and then sewed me back up. It feels like I was chewed up and spat out when I have fast food. That's what fast food does to me. And in that sense, it's fucking terrible. Never mind the fact that there's way too much, and I mean way too much sugar and salt in these foods. That isn't to say that salt is anywhere near as bad as the mainstream media would like you to believe, but the excess amount of salt that's in these dishes, hell yeah, that's too much salt. Get that out of here. So I don't like feeling sick, and this is what fast food does to me. There is, however, one fast food joint that I think is probably the best out of all of them, and that's Tim Hortons. When I have their coffees, their donuts, and their like tiny burger items, I don't even know what they are, but the bread that they put in between that along with the meat, it all feels light enough on my stomach to not trigger like a regurgitory response. And so I'm a big fan of Tim's. In fact, I would probably say that that's the best fast food restaurant out of all of them. And then number two, I would say Subway, because at least at Subway, you can get, like, some vegetables on there. I mean, it's not healthy food, but it's health-ish. Like, it's better than the alternative, what you could potentially be eating. And it's one of those few places that actually does not make me feel sick afterwards. Like Tim's, Subway does not make me feel sick, provided that I get the right thing. You know, I always get their, like, Frankenstein tuna, not really tuna, with like a bunch of vegetables and shit on it. Now that's what I eat when I go to Subway. Subway's good. There is once in a blue moon where I enjoy eating the greasy, high carb, high salt dishes that they have at these fast food restaurants. But if I were to put it succinctly, eating fast food is kind of like doing meth. It's really bad for you, but you don't start to notice the physical and mental ramifications until you're doing it every day. Once in a blue moon, not so much, but once you start getting it a few times in a week, or God forbid every day, you are going to notice the accelerating decline of your body and mind. But given the fact that these two things are natural American pastimes, I think the comparison is even more apt. To be honest, I don't think a lot of my fellow Americans even like this food that much. I think a lot of us eat it because we're so overworked that we simply do not have time to cook other foods. I mean, if you live in a food desert, for example, you're not going to have access to a lot of ingredients or healthy foods simply due to the fact that the supply chain and its adherents are not serving you sufficiently. In those food deserts, you have access to the fast food chains, and at your grocery stores, you have processed foods. Of course, this increases rates of obesity and so on, but the fact that our work culture is as toxic as it is, someone who is raising children may have to work 2, sometimes even 3 jobs to make ends meet. They are not going to have time to cook healthy meals for them or their children. And so what do? They go get something at a fast food restaurant because it is quick and it is relatively cheap for the time that they end up saving by not cooking. And it's very high in calories, which is going to replenish all of that energy that you lost from having to engage in that arduous, long-lasting labor that takes up most of your time. I mean, just look at the statistics on sleep deprivation in American adults. It's not good. Or I believe I remember seeing something along the lines of like more than half of US adults are experiencing some kind of work-related sleep deprivation. This is insane. The fact that we have to work as much as we do when we have so much wealth in this economy is insane. But fast food is propped up by the fact that people are working so much in order to make ends meet. And it is directly propped up by the federal government's continuous subsidies for meat and the meat industry more broadly. This stuff would cost way more if we were not subsidizing the meat industry. And so it creates the perfect storm where simultaneously you have these impoverished workers who oftentimes, due to living in food deserts, do not have access to nutritious or good food. They also do not have the time to cook any food, and the best option they end up having are high-calorie, quick, fast food that they get from McDonald's or Wendy's or Burger King and so on. They take that stuff home or they eat it in their car on the drive home to get their 4 or at best 5 hours of sleep, only to go toil away at their 2 or perhaps 3 jobs in order to barely pay the skyrocketing price of rent and other basic necessities. This is the horrifying abomination that is fast food. It's not fast food alone that's the problem. It's not the fact that it's unhealthy. It's not the fact that it makes us sick, that it tastes bad oftentimes. These are problems, sure, but the fact that it's indicative of a broader system that exists in this country, and the fact that it continues to grow and spread due to that toxic system. This is the problem at the root of all of this, and that is the fast food abomination.